developing morphology. By 2.5 years old, the child is beyond telegraphic speech forms. In telegraphic speech form, the child uses multiple words. So when the child is 2.5 years, so he's crossed this stage. The child incorporates some of the inflectional morphemes that indicate the grammatical function of the nouns and verbs used. So now the child has learned to use inflectional or grammatical inflections, especially of verbs and nouns, and that tells that the child is now taken a step into grammar as well. The first that comes into the expression of a child is ing form, right? So generally such words, such expressions are heard from a child. Cat sitting, mummy reading book. So in these two examples, we see that the ing form is used with the verb. Then comes s form, that is used with the nouns to make them plural. For example, boys and cats. The acquisition of the plural marker is often accompanied by a process of overgeneralization. So when the child learns this plural marker, he starts or she starts using in a generalized way. He or she use s with words which do not generally take s to become plural. For example, we see that foot is made plural with the internal change of the vowel sound and is feet, and similarly man, men. But the child uses s, so this is overgeneralization of the plural marker by the child. When the alternative pronunciation of the plural form used in houses ending in us comes into use, the child starts using us as well. Sometimes he uses both s and us, sir and us. Overgeneralized application, so we can see that boys, which he has made as plural, is added by us, which is another inflection for plural. So the child makes boyses and footuses. Along with overgeneralization, use of irregular plurals such as men quite appropriately for a while. So at the same time, the child also used plural for men for man. So irregular plural is also seen to be used by the child. So an other expression like men and foot. Now they are, in one way, the child has learned to make these irregular plural form, but he still uses s, and foot is feet, and men is men's. So even such expressions are heard, two fetuses. So this is very strange, but this is one of the very important part of the grammatical development of the child. Not long after the possessive inflections occurs in expression. Now, after using ing form with verbs, after learning plural s, both sir and us, the child is now to the apostrophe s, and we have expressions like girl's dog and mummy's book. So at the same time, the child also starts using different forms of the verb to be are, was, etc. And at the same time, the child also starts using the irregular forms of come and go. So we can have the child use went, and the child use went and came. There are regular past tense forms that we would not expect to hear before the more regular forms. So the child uses regular form with ed, like played and started, after he or she has learned to use went for go and came for come, the irregular forms. Now comes the appearance of ed, which is regular past tense inflection. Once the regular past tense forms like walked and played begin appearing in the child's speech, the irregular forms may disappear for a while, replaced by overgeneralized versions such as goed and commit. Such oddities as walketed and vented are also found among children. The regular S marker on third person singular present tense verb appears at this stage after the ed form. It occurs first with full verb comes, looks, and then with auxiliaries does and has. So this third person S comes first with the lexical verbs and then with the helping verbs. So at this stage, the child shows expression which have a great deal of variability. Individual children may produce good forms one day and bad forms or odd forms the next day. So they are changing. The evidence suggests that the child is working out how to use the linguistic system while focused on communication and interaction rather than correctness. So the child is more for the fluency, for communication, less for correctness or not for correctness. Embarrassed parents who insist that the child didn't hear such things at home are implicitly recognizing that imitation is not the primary force in first language acquisition. So generally seen that parents who encounter such expressions by the children using incorrect grammatical forms, they think that they are not being used at home, so why they are using. But the child has his or her own way of learning the language, especially the first language. They do not imitate anyone, they make their own rules.